In the headlines, Electoral Reform Group wants government to implement Joint Commission recommendations on electoral reform. Successful weekend campaign encouraging a proactive stance for the early detection of cancer. And the Ministry of Agriculture to rid the country of toxic farm inputs, including pesticides. I'm Andrea Levy with the Channel 5 News. Back with the details after this.
A new in-home experience is here. All your services bundled into one simple plan. Faster, more reliable Wi-Fi so that you can binge, play, and stream uninterrupted. Unlimited Flow local landline minutes mean you can talk and talk and talk. Plus the best in TV entertainment with over 120 channels and 29 in HD. All for $160 a month with the new all-in bundle. With Flow, it only gets better.
Here are some tips to reduce mosquito presence in and around your home. Keep water storage containers properly covered. Remove containers that can collect water from your surroundings. Keep garbage bins tightly covered. Pick up your litter and remove all tires from your yard. Keep gutters free of leaves and twigs to prevent stagnant water. Prevent Zika, dengue, and chikungunya. Fight the bite. This is a public service announcement from the Dominica Red Cross.
This message is supported by Flow.
Flow helps you stay connected to what matters. Simple plans and a better network mean that you can enjoy 7 days of unlimited social messaging, 3 gigabytes of reliable data to use as you like, 700 local anywhere calls and texts with the always-on prepaid plan, all for $29. Keep your number when you switch to Dominica's most reliable LTE network. Buy wherever you top up. Switch to Flow. It only gets better.
Thank you for staying with us. First up, the Electoral Reform Effort Group has called on government to implement the measures outlined in a recent Joint Electoral Commission report. Here is Julian Morris with that story.
The report was submitted by a joint commission which visited Dominica from the 6th to the 9th of August. The commission consisted of electoral reform experts from the Commonwealth Secretariat, the Caribbean Community CARICOM, and the Organization of American States OAS. One of the recommendations was a re-verification exercise consisting of house-to-house visits, which Attorney General Levi Peters said would be impractical. Member of the Electoral Reform Effort Group, Stuart Parris, read a statement from the group to the media on Monday, which outlined propositions by the group to help the electoral reform process.
We call on the Electoral Commission to move urgently to implement the recommendations of the Special Joint Mission in its entirety, as far as practical, including making the appropriate regulations to enable its work. Number 2, the government to provide all and any additional financial and other resources necessary in order to enable the Electoral Commission to complete the necessary reform activities before the next general elections. Number 3, the Office of the Attorney General and the Electoral Commission to work on the bill necessary for presentation to Parliament for enactment of a simplified, focused, and appropriate amendment that will adequately empower the Chief Elections Officer to issue and required to be used in any election the necessary voter ID cards.
The Electoral Reform Group has also called on political leaders to engage in open dialogue to move the electoral reform process forward.
Number 4, the leaders of the political parties to engage in honest, meaningful, and constructive one-to-one dialogue on the issue of electoral reform and to cease all their parties' interference in the work of the Electoral Commission. Number 5, political parties and other concerned citizens or bodies to consider court action to guide the process of reform if all else fails, in order to ensure that the Electoral Commission undertakes the timely necessary reform before the next general elections. Every and all citizens to review their commitment to collaborate in resolving Dominica's electoral challenges, to pay and work for peace and do all in our locality and influence to avert the occurrence of civil disturbances in the wake of a general election.
The Electoral Reform Group comprised leaders of church, business, and civil society.
Meantime, Senior Counsel Anthony Astafan says the Electoral Reform Effort Group, led by Anthony LeBlanc, Loftus Dura, and leader of the opposition UWP, is a fraud. Senior Counsel Anthony Astafan says it is all a deliberate scheme to create disturbance in the country.
We have bills submitted to the Parliament following the revisions and removals of the references to bribery and treating, which were vetted, which were considered by the Electoral Commission, which were considered by a Jamaican electoral law expert who was the general counsel to the Jamaican Electoral Office, sent here in 2017 by the Commonwealth, vetted these bills and said the process for confirmation and the ID cards are consistent with the recommendations made in the past to sanitize, inverted commas, the list and for ID cards, and in keeping with international practice. In August 2018, Mr. Linton accepted that these bills were good and would provide the necessary upgrade of the law for the issuing of the ID cards. All of a sudden now we have a political problem. The Observer's Missions report, if you read it, Mr. LeBlanc hasn't read anything. If you read it, and if you read the Attorney General's response, both at the press conference and in writing, the mission's recommendations will not lead to and will never lead to the cleansing of the voters list, because they have made it clear that there are persons, whether found or not found, with which there's an issue or not, that cannot be removed from the list, especially those in the diaspora. Whereas the confirmation process will remove everybody from the list who does not apply to be confirmed or who do not meet the requirements for confirmation. An example being, they're unable to show that they visited Dominica at least once in the 5 years preceding confirmation. August 2018, Linton applauded the bills. Now suddenly things change because why? They need a political issue to move forward is or to cause civil disobedience.
Senior Counsel Astafan says there is still the matter of the injunction brought by Loftus Dura and the Concerned Citizens Movement.
The case for the injunction is still pending. I don't know by what machinations we are going to be able to get that heard soonest without and taking into consideration the issue of appeals to the Court of Appeal to the Privy Council. We pleaded with the court to give us an early date in August or early September. Mr. Dura's lawyers they either did not cooperate, they did not agree, or they objected. We now have a situation where I don't even know when this case is going to be heard. And Mr. LeBlanc and Mr. Linton and nobody has ever said anything to Mr. Dura about removing his case, his application for the injunction from the High Court. It's still there.
In more top stories, the Dominica Cancer Society is reporting a successful Walk for Cancer. The Society's signature fundraising and awareness event was held on Saturday under the theme, I Can, I Will Walk for Cancer Care. Public Relations Officer for the Dominica Cancer Society, Vina Roye, hopes this walk continues to raise awareness among the public that early intervention saves lives.
We have been trying to tell people that you need to take care of yourself. That if you learn that you have cancer, this is not the time to sit down and hide. Some people don't want people to know their business. The earlier you start off treatment, the most likely it is for you to recover fully.
Though in the early stages, Roy is optimistic that this year the Society has reached its $100,000 mark.
For the past 3 years, we've been targeting $100,000. We've come pretty close each time to 100. We crossed 100 the first year because it was greatly supplemented by the government of Dominica, and but for us, our net was always about $88,000 to $90,000. This year, considering the turnout and the participation, I am expecting us to have reached our target.
The Dominica Cancer Society had already given financial assistance to several people for the year for medical treatment overseas, with more patients on the cards to be flown out during the rest of the year.
We are seeing many more people coming up asking for assistance with chemotherapy. This year already, we have sent 3 batches. So that's about 6-7 people up. We send them in pairs, for support largely. We try to send 2 persons at a time to Guyana. We use Guyana because financially it is much cheaper for us to access treatment in Guyana. But even this week coming, we have another 2 ready, and I already know of another 2 that we have to look at towards the end of November.
In other developments, Flo Dominica's 14-year-old Creole in the Park continues to make a significant contribution to Dominica's economy, a fact which the Discover Dominica Authority has recognized. The economic activity stimulated by Flo Dominica's flagship event, Creole in the Park, during the independence celebrations was highlighted during the launching of the Fringe event last week.
The increase in visitor arrival during the week leading up to Creole in the Park is testament to the important economic contribution that this event and the positive impact on Dominica's economy through craft vendors, or many food vendors, or taxi drivers, or car rental companies, and all the other service providers who benefit from this event. Discover Dominica Authority commends Flo for this initiative and wish to publicly state our support to the success of this year's Creole in the Park.
This year's Independence theme is Saluting Resilience and Rejuvenation 2 years on. You are watching the Channel 5 News. Stay tuned for more after the break.
Flow helps you stay connected to what matters. Simple plans and a better network mean that you can enjoy 7 days of unlimited social messaging, 3 gigabytes of reliable data to use as you like, 700 local anywhere calls and texts, with the always-on prepaid plan, all for $29. Keep your number when you switch to Dominica's most reliable LTE network. Buy wherever you top up. Switch to Flow. It only gets better.
Si ou ni maladi HIV et bien maladi sexuelle, si ou pas protéger corps là ou kane sexe avec plusieurs monde, ça kay mette la vie ou en gros danger. Ou ka expose tout partenaire au poison et que ça qui ka vini avec maladie. Serve yo condom chaque fois ou kane sexe. Change qui est important pour découvrir maladie à bonheur ou ça vivre en bonne santé même si ou ni maladie HIV. Pour responsabilité, protéger corps et puis les autres. Examiner corps. Aidez du bout si même maladie HIV et l'autre maladie sexuelle.
Here are some tips to reduce mosquito presence in and around your home. Keep water storage containers properly covered. Remove containers that can collect water from your surroundings. Keep garbage bins tightly covered. Pick up your litter and remove all tires from your yard. Keep gutters free of leaves and twigs to prevent stagnant water. Prevent Zika, dengue, and chikungunya. Fight the bite. This is a public service announcement from the Dominica Red Cross.
This message is supported by Flo.
A new in-home experience is here. All your services bundled into one simple plan. Faster, more reliable Wi-Fi so that you can binge, play, and stream uninterrupted. Unlimited Flow local landline minutes mean you can talk and talk and talk. Plus the best in TV entertainment with over 120 channels and 29 in HD. All for $160 a month with the new all-in bundle. With Flow, it only gets better.
Welcome back. The Ministry of Agriculture to embark on a drive to rid the country of obsolete and highly toxic pesticides. Here is Julian Morris with more.
This follows the recent observance of Pesticide Awareness Week. Produce chemist and secretary of the Pesticide Control Board, Anna Marie Seraphine Alexander, says during inspections at certain establishments, officials have identified items that have not been approved to enter the country. These chemicals are subsequently confiscated, and starting this month, the ministry will initiate the process of getting rid of these substances.
When they are confiscated, they are stored. We don't go about using them. They're stored. Because right now, the problem is we do not have a proper mechanism for sending back. we're going to be having a project come on stream where, well, a component of a project where we can get rid of obsoletes. And obsoletes would be chemicals that are damaged, chemicals that are not labeled properly, chemicals that are confiscated, so we can send them back to where they come from. We do not give it back to the importers.
Seraphine Alexander admits that to date there is only one pesticide inspector on island, which can prove challenging in ensuring establishments carry products approved by the country's laws.
The steps that are taken for unregistered pesticide is the inspection. So we have an inspector. Well, for now it's just one, and the government is actually trying to get more people trained in pesticide inspections so we can have more than one. So the inspector has the right, as far as the law is concerned, to enter the premises and confiscate, chemicals that are not registered, chemicals that are not in English, because that is another problem that we have. You see products on the shelf and they are strictly in a foreign language. They can be in a foreign language, but the law states that it doesn't matter what language that this chemical is in, there must be English. Not just some, but the same thing that is being said in French, for example, it has to be said in English.
Ministry is also taking steps to phase out the use of highly toxic or Class 1 chemicals used in the agriculture industry.
So what we've been doing is we've been going through our registered pesticide list, and actually been phasing out all our Class 1 chemicals. And when I talk about Class 1s, we mean our very highly toxic chemicals. So we have Class 1s, Class 2, Class 3, 4, and 5. Class 1 and Class 2 are highly, highly toxic. Usually they are coded in red. Glyphosate is considered a Class 1 chemical. And for now, the ministry is putting measures in place. We've already started a restriction where you cannot bring it in until, further notice from the government. But the ministry is putting measures in place to have glyphosate phased out because of its harshness. But at the same time, it's harsh, but it's a very effective herbicide. So you find it has been used, for a very, very long time. But to get farmers to use something else or to use something less toxic.
Pesticide Awareness Week was held under the theme Building Awareness and Capacity for a Healthy Nation through Sustainable Life Cycle Management of Pesticides and Promoting Alternatives.
Project manager of Montreal Management Consultants Establishment, Christopher Timmins, says over 400 skilled Dominicans are gainfully employed on government's housing revolution. Timmins made the disclosure at a recent ceremony where letters of commitment were presented to owners of over 60 apartments in La Plaine.
None of this is possible without the continued support, help and work of many people, and we must thank the offices of the Prime Minister, the Ministry of Housing, the help of DASPA in getting materials through the port, Duasco and Domalek. And of course we must mention our main contractor, NH International, and the army of Dominican subcontractors who have brought their skills and enthusiasm to the construction process. The number of skilled Dominican builders presently employed across our projects is now in excess of 430. As we always like to say, during the design and construction of these buildings, they become our babies. We are present at the conception and at the delivery. During those months, many people have sweated, shed blood and tears to deliver these buildings. As we hand over the care of our babies to you, the new residents, we hope that you will care for them as much as we have.
There are 66 new residences in La Plaine built out of reinforced concrete along with certified hurricane-resistant windows. The apartments have also been fireproofed.
We are in the final stages of commissioning systems such as ventilation, fire alarms, etc. Domalek are in the process of bringing in the new power supply, which entails a complete upgrade to the existing infrastructure in the village. We hope that within 2 weeks that the first residents in the first building will be moving into their new homes, very quickly followed by the residents of the second building.
And the police traffic guidelines and security control are key elements in helping make Creole in the Park a wholesome experience for local and visiting patrons. As they've done in the past, the police will collaborate with Flow Dominica this year to provide a safe and secure environment for the October 22nd to 24th event. They are taking a three-phased approach to policing the event. These include venue security, crowd control, and traffic management.
2 gates will be utilized as entry points. The main entrance to the venue will be on Valley Road, close to the Roseau Health Center, and the secondary entrance will be on Emsall Road, close to the University of the West Indies. The VIP entrance will be the northeastern gate at the intersection of Emsall Road and Valley Road. Patrons exiting the venue will do so on Valley Road by using the gate immediately behind the Botanic Gardens Pavilion and also the Bath Road gate. All gates at the Botanic Gardens will be manned by police officers and support from private security. The police will be conducting robust searching of all patrons entering the venue, and no weapons will be permitted to the venue. The police will be firm with regard to the patrons carrying offensive weapons, such as knives, cutlasses, scissors, ice pick, nail files, and utility multi-tools, etc. Anyone found carrying these weapons will be removed from the venue and dealt with according to law. Licensed firearm holders will not be allowed to access the venue with their firearms. I therefore appeal to the general public to work with the police and avoid the embarrassment of having to be arrested and taken to police headquarters.
The police will implement a few temporary measures in the city during the 3-day event. These measures will be announced closer to the scheduled date of the event at a police press conference. The public is urged to work collaboratively with the police to ensure a safe and incident-free Creole in the Park 2019.
A new in-home experience is here. All your services bundled into one simple plan. Faster, more reliable Wi-Fi so that you can binge, play, and stream uninterrupted. Unlimited Flow local landline minutes mean you can talk and talk and talk. Plus the best in TV entertainment with over 120 channels and 29 in HD, all for $160 a month with the new all-in bundle. With Flow, it only gets better.
Here are some tips to reduce mosquito presence in and around your home. Keep water storage containers properly covered. Remove containers that can collect water from your surroundings. Keep garbage bins tightly covered. Pick up your litter and remove all tires from your yard. Keep gutters free of leaves and twigs to prevent stagnant water. Prevent Zika, dengue, and chikungunya. Fight the bite. This is a public service announcement from the Dominica Red Cross.
This message is supported by Flow.
Flow helps you stay connected to what matters. Simple plans and a better network mean that you can enjoy 7 days of unlimited social messaging, 3 gigabytes of reliable data to use as you like, 700 local anywhere calls and texts, with the always-on prepaid plan, all for $29. Keep your number when you switch to Dominica's most reliable LTE network. Buy wherever you top up. Switch to Flow. It only gets better.
To end the news, the headlines again. Electoral Reform Group wants government to implement Joint Commission recommendations on electoral reform. Successful weekend campaign encouraging a proactive stance for the early detection of cancer. And the Ministry of Agriculture to rid the country of highly toxic farm inputs, including pesticides. Feel free to contact us at news@marpin2k4.com. You can also access our past newscasts on our YouTube channel. On behalf of the entire production team, I am Andrea Louis, and to all of our viewers around the world, thank you so much for watching. Join us tomorrow.